So the Sharks made a pretty big trade today. They traded Josef goaltender, to the Arizona Coyotes for Adin Hill. And this is a pretty big trade for multiple reasons. So basically, you know, the Sharks obviously missed the playoffs last year. It wasn't a great season. You know, there were a lot of ups and downs, and it was definitely, you know, a season that we probably could have done a lot better in. And the reason why we missed the playoffs was a pretty simple reason. Our goaltending was not very strong. We went through pretty much 4 different goaltenders last year. Devin Dubnyk, who was eventually traded. Martin Jones, you know, the established goaltender in San Jose. Josef Korenar, who was obviously traded today. And Alexei Melnichuk, another young goaltender that kind of irrelevant. But, you know, the Sharks, people don't really remember, the Sharks were very, very close at certain points of the season to getting a playoff spot. You know, there were points in the season where the Sharks were about half a game out of the playoffs. And why was that? It was because Martin Jones, in certain weeks of the season, just went Superman mode and, you know, played good in every game he started in. But the problem with Martin Jones is he was just super inconsistent. And so the Sharks thought, you know, we need support for Jones. And, you know, that's the whole point of this trade. Korenar actually didn't do terrible last year, so I was a little shocked that they traded him. I mean, you know, he's only played in 10 games, and he's won 3 of them, which isn't great, but considering that the Sharks had a pretty lackluster defense last year, I wouldn't necessarily put all the blame on him. I did recap every single game, so I do kind of remember a lot of points in the season where Korenar would have a great game and the Sharks defense would just choke it. He had an .899 save percentage lifetime, which is just 1 season anyways. Adin Hill is a little bit more established. He's played 4 seasons. He has a over a .900 save percentage lifetime, sorry. And his best season was in 2019-2020. And you got to remember, the Coyotes actually made the playoffs that year. Even though, you know, obviously he was kind of a backup on them because, you know, the Coyotes have Darcy Kemper, which is the established goaltender there. So it was kind of a backup for a backup, but I think the Sharks got the better backup. So the actual specifics of the trade were Sharks get Adin Hill and a 7th-round pick for Josef Korenar and a 2nd. So some picks were involved, and they're both 2022 picks. But basically the Coyotes had a choice between these 2 goalies, and, you know, I think it was smarter of them to pick Darcy Kemper because I think he's better, but, you know, that's how it is. For Korenar, I mean, he only played 10 games. He did play for the San Jose Barracuda AHL team as well. I mean, I think Adin Hill is a pretty decent goalie. I don't think he's elite by any means, but I think he's pretty good. Funny, I actually went to Arizona to see the Sharks play the Coyotes in Arizona, and I watched Adin Hill get a 4-0 shutout on the Sharks. So I guess, you know, some sort of foreshadowing. You know, and he was pretty good in that game, obviously getting a shutout. So yeah, I think, you know, this trade is a win for us. I don't think it was necessarily the best trade for the Coyotes, but I think, you know, it's not gonna solve all of our problems. I think Martin Jones, we don't know what's going to happen to him. There's been a lot of talks about his contract buyout because it's a big contract. But, you know, I think it's probably, you know, might be coming to the end for Jones. We'll see. For Hill, you know, he started 49 games in his NHL career. So that's not that much considering he's played in 4 different seasons. I mean, obviously, granted, last season was a shortened season, but the Sharks, like, to their credit, weren't the worst team last year. You know, yeah, they finished like 7th in their division, but the division was pretty good. And I think people just kind of jumped to conclusions and said, oh, the Sharks suck. And I think I agree, they're not a very good team, but they were close to making the playoffs because Martin Jones played good in certain situations. And I think having a backup or maybe even starter in Adin Hill, it'll help us out. But yeah, for Adin Hill, just for some context, he was drafted in 2015 by the Coyotes, and he has, I mean, I guess last season was maybe his best season considering how many starts he got. He went 9-9-1 last year, which isn't terrible. But the Coyotes do need draft capital, so I guess that helps them out. So yeah, Josef Korenar, you know, thank you for being on the Sharks for your 10 games. I actually liked him a lot in the games he won because he was pretty good. Czech Republic native, and yeah. So anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on this trade. I think it's pretty good. I mean, the NHL is kind of crazy today with trades, but anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts, and yep, see you guys later. Go Sharks.